Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to talk about kombucha and what happens when it gets overly tart or sour or vinegary. And that can happen quite often if you're not paying attention to your brew. And in the very early days when I was making kombucha, I would often let my kombucha go too long. It would lose its bubbliness. It would turn so sour tart. It would make me squint when I drank it. And nobody in my house wanted to drink it because it was almost vinegar. And one of the interesting things about fermenting kombucha is that it eventually does turn to vinegar if you leave it out too long, which is a really good thing because you can save it and bottle it and use it just like you would vinegar in any recipe. It works great. And it can stay stored in your cabinet. It doesn't have to be in the fridge. It's just not going to be bubbly, but it is going to be very similar to apple cider vinegar. The fizziness in the kombucha comes from the helpful yeast, the good yeast that are in kombucha. Saccharomyces boulardii is one of them. There's also Zycosaccharomyces kombuchagenus, I think is another one of the yeasts that's in that. And it helps to create that bubbly, fizzy taste that everybody seems to crave and want. And those good yeasts, and Saccharomyces boulardii is one of the best ones in there. It's a fabulous probiotic yeast. And it eats out all the sugars out of the kombucha. And that's like 86% of the sugars are gone after 4 or 5 days, I think, is what it is. And it keeps continuing to do that. So it continues to eat most of the sugar out of the kombucha. And it creates that natural fizz and probiotics. But here's the catcher. When the sugar is gone, is completely consumed by the yeast start to die off. That's why you get those stringy things in the kombucha. And that's when it starts to turn to vinegar. And then it stops being fizzy and bubbly. So the probiotics start to diminish too as the longer it sits. So this is why you should not over ferment your kombucha too much, because you will lose the fizziness, but you will also lose some of the probiotics. And you want the health benefits that are the most you can get. And that's right when kombucha is not vinegary, but it's not sweet either. It's right there in the middle when it's just maybe a tiny bit sweet. So the naturally occurring carbonation that occurs is the bacteria and yeast in kombucha. And when they start to ferment the tea, they consume that sugar and they create ethanol and carbon dioxide, or what I call naturally occurring carbonation. The good bacteria consume the ethanol, create new compounds and amino acids that give you the boost your body needs. It helps your joints, it assists your liver in detoxification with a host of other things. It's a very powerful remedy for anytime you're feeling bad or sluggish or you're just not feeling yourself. If you have a kombucha, it will pick you up because it helps your liver to detoxify you from substances or compounds in your body that are making you feel kind of bad and not well. And that's something that I do often if I have any kind of like in the morning when I'm tired or I'm, if I haven't eaten the best or I've had a really busy night or day or week or whatever, there's kombucha is a very powerful pick-me-up. I have a whole blog written on that called Why I Drink Kombucha Every Day. So here's the question I get asked a lot. Does kombucha have alcohol? As any fermented product or food has small amounts of alcohol in it. I think it's 0.5 of what we tested. And that comes mostly when you second ferment it with juices. But what really happens is the current testing method often confuses organic acids and naturally occurring sedimentation for ethanol, which is that stuff at the bottom. So this increases the readings of alcohol content to a higher percentage than is actually contained in the product. It's very, very small amounts. We've had people, I had some guy on my forum that drank, I don't know how many gallons of kombucha he drank in one day and then kept testing his thing with his breathalyzer test, and it never registered any alcohol. Now, I don't recommend you do that because he was in the bathroom for a lot because he drank so much. I think it was a couple gallons. He said he drank it all day long. But it never registered alcohol on his breathalyzer, whatever you call that thing that tests for alcohol. But it also is a very powerful detoxification process in the body. Kombucha is very good at that, helping the liver and helping to flush things through the kidneys, compounds that aren't good for you. It's very powerful in that. So I don't recommend you drinking that much, but it really is a very safe drink to drink. And often people get the testing that's done can't really distinguish between the sediment and the ethanol that they think is ethanol, but it's really just sedimentation from kombucha. So now, one of the big things that you need to do so you avoid your kombucha from getting super sour is to bottle your kombucha tea when it's just slightly sweet, just a little bit. Now, it will continue to ferment in the fridge, and it does quite a good job at that. When it turns too sour or vinegary, that means the yeast and bacteria have run out of food, and your kombucha is going to eventually go flat or is flat. So if you're looking for really fizzy kombucha, let it go till it's just slightly sweet, and then put some juice in it and second ferment it, and then you're going to have a lot of carbonation. So I want you to remember something, that the sugar that's in the tea is not for you. It's for the bacteria and yeast to eat and consume and make you fizzy kombucha and also make you probiotics. So you don't have to freak out about the sugar, because the sugar eventually just completely goes away. It's not very much for a cup of kombucha. I think it's 3 or 4 carbohydrates. So it has a lot of good bacteria and yeast too, but honestly, letting it go flat, you're going to get less beneficial health benefits. So here are a few things you can do if your kombucha is too sour. So you can try to second ferment it to revive it. If there's still some good yeast in there, and you second ferment it with fruit juice, which is like, I can't remember, what is it, 3 or 4 ounces of juice for 16 ounces with kombucha. So you've put 3 or 4 ounces of juice in your bottle, and then add kombucha tea to it, put the lid on it, and let it second ferment for a few days. And if it gets bubbly, then there's still good yeast in there, and it will make it taste much better. So the only thing different if you've got really strong kombucha is to try to double the juice. That will help it if it's still alive and can still make more. It's still going to be alive. It's just not going to have as many good yeast. It's going to make it bubbly. So you could try doubling the amount of juice you use to kombucha and see if that helps. And when people who aren't familiar with this, you make your plain kombucha first, that's plain, that doesn't have anything but sugar and tea. And then you take that bottle and you put that in a bottle and you add juice to it. And then you leave it on the counter for a few days until it gets bubbly. That's what second fermenting is. And again, don't worry about the sugar and the extra juice. The kombucha cultures will be very strong if your kombucha is really vinegary and will quickly eat those sugars. However, if it's gone too far, this won't work at all. It won't get bubbly, nor will it taste like fruity kombucha. It will taste like you added juice to vinegar if it's gone too far. But you can still use it like vinegar. The bacteria are still going to be alive, the good bacteria, and it will continue to eat it very slowly, but it won't do it the way you can get it bubbly again. So anyway, you can, fermentation can take anywhere from 3 to 5 days to a week, or it just all depends on the temperature in your home. If your temperature in your home is 75 or above, it's going to ferment much more quickly. It can even do it in a few days. But if it's below that, in the 70s and below, it's going to take at least a week or longer to let that go. Sometimes I've had it, my house would get really cold at night, and it would get into the 60s, and that would take 3 weeks for it to ferment. So the only difference is that to really try to get it to bring it back is to double the juice. And the rest of the instructions are the same. So that's just a tip you can try. Now, if it is too sour and turned to vinegar, let it continue to culture for another total of 30 days, and you'll have kombucha vinegar just on your counter. And it won't hurt anything to do that. It'll probably form more mushrooms, or I don't really like to call them mushrooms. They're scobies because they're not mushrooms. And bottle it after 30 days in bottles, just like you would vinegar. Store in your cabinet, it lasts forever. You can use it just like you would vinegar. I have a recipe for that too that I'll put in this article so you can go see that. And if it is, and another thing you can do if it's too strong and you don't want to make vinegar, just use it as a starter for your next batch, and it will probably ferment twice as fast, because the stronger the starter, the more it will ferment. So, you can add extra starter in there, and your brew will be done in half the time if it's gotten too strong and sour. So that's another thing you can do. I also have 10 different ways to use over fermented kombucha. Kombucha is just such a great drink, and there's so many different things you can do with it. Like I said before, you can always use it as a starter for your next batch of tea. But this article has 10 different ways you can use your extra strong kombucha. You can make the vinegar, like I said, you could make a household cleaner. I have a recipe for that. The low pH and acidic acid of the kombucha vinegar prevents mold and bacteria from growing. And adding kombucha and tea tree oil or essential oils adds antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal qualities to your cleaner that you can work on countertops, showers, or tubs. There's a really good recipe I have, and I'm also going to put this in the description, that says, you can use your cores from apples to make an apple scrap vinegar that's really, really good. You can use your extra strong kombucha to make a marinade, which is really good. I've done this many times on fish, chicken, beef, veggies. I have a recipe that's loaded with herbs, spices, jalapeno, olive oil, garlic, ginger, and kombucha vinegar. And it tastes fabulous. And I just marinate a few hours and then make my recipe for different things I can use it for. It's really good. You can also make a SCOBY Hotel. You can pour it in your SCOBY Hotel, the extra strong kombucha, and you have a SCOBY Hotel is a bunch of SCOBYs in a jar that you can save and use for all kinds of different things. I have different ways to use your SCOBYs too. I have like 20 ways. So you can make a SCOBY Hotel, which is just a jar full of extra strong kombucha and a bunch of SCOBYs. You can use it as a facial toner. So many high quality companies are putting kombucha in their toners now because it's so beneficial for your skin. In the very beginning, when I was doing classes, when I first started my business, I had a lady come that she had this black kind of a growth on her face, and she started putting kombucha on it, and it went away, and she couldn't believe it because she'd had one prior to that the doctor had to remove. And she said kombucha just did it. It was wonderful. There's some probiotic waters you can do. You could put lemon and ginger and honey and the kombucha vinegar in there, and it makes a really refreshing probiotic water. You can use the kombucha in any recipe calling for vinegar. You can use it in kombucha mayo, which only takes like 20 seconds to make. That's a great one to make. You can make a salad dressing, and I think I have 10 or more salad dressings that you can use that in because you don't use very much. But there's a lot of different things that you can do with your over fermented kombucha that I do all the time. And I'm going to link the article that has all the recipes and has the 10 ways you can use your over fermented kombucha and also 20 ways to use your SCOBYs. So we have lots of ways. Don't throw it out if it gets too sour and vinegary. Just use it like vinegar. It's still good for you. It still has a lot of properties that are so beneficial to the body and to you. And you're always going to have a need for vinegar. And I actually really use it a lot for cleaning now. I have a lady that comes and cleans a couple of times a month. And most everything she uses has got vinegar in it that she uses to clean our house. And it works so well. We love those kinds of, I actually have some homemade things that I've given her that she uses too, that she really likes. So it's awesome to use your own things that don't have all the chemicals and things that are harmful to the body and to the household. So anyway, that's just some help if you've gotten the kombucha overly fermented sometimes, which everybody seems to do one time or another. So I hope that helps, and I hope you'll check out the articles, and I hope that you'll come back and listen next week. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later.